This episode of the Acts of Geekery podcast is brought to you by the Doc Brown Taxi Service. Got somewhere to be? Got somewhere to be 10 minutes ago? Call Doc Brown. We'll get you there at 88 miles an hour. The Doc Brown Taxi Service. That's the power of love. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's time for another episode of the Acts of Geekery podcast, episode 1-3, dun dun dun.
Which would be episode 4.
No.
You're very animated
Sorry,
today.
yes, I am very animated. I got to keep the energy up.
Okay.
Now, it's episode 13 of the Acts of Geekery
Oh
podcast.
no, it's our unlucky episode.
Exactly. Why do you think I said dun dun dun?
Dun dun
Dun.
dun.
I'm Corey,
And I'm Scott.
and we're the Brothers Geek here to bring you all the geeky things in the world of geekdom. There's a lot of geeky things going on this week.
There's a lot of geek everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just this whole world is permeating with geek right now.
It's soaking in geek.
It is dripping with geek.
Oh gosh, that is just a horrifying image.
I mean, it's just like BO and sweat. That's all geek is.
Yeah, exactly. That's still a horrifying image. Scott, how do we start every episode?
By doing an opening thing.
No, we start it with Dawn of Justice. And
Or
we have-
Avengers Age
yep.
of Ultron.
Yep, but it's all Dawn of Justice today.
Yay!
Well, not all Dawn of Justice today.
That's
but, like,
all. We have nothing else.
Yeah, it's just this
dripping
one-
with Dawn of Justice.
God, stop it. Stop it. I think I don't like the word
Wait,
dripping anymore.
What about moist? So many people hate that word. I don't know why.
I don't know. It's
Like
weird.
when you eat a cake, you're not like, oh, this cake is spongy. This cake is so moist.
I have
it's a
never
good
said
thing.
that about cake before.
Well, now you should start.
Maybe I just haven't eaten the right
All right,
cakes.
or whatever. Just what is our Dawn of Justice news?
All right,
Gosh.
so Aquaman, they came out and they talked a little bit about, well, not anybody like who's supposed to talk about it came out and said something about it.
So it was
but,
leaked.
Yeah, like some leaked information.
I like leaked stuff.
about Aquaman.
That makes our job easier.
It's dripping, you might say, with Aquaman news.
It's leaking out of the tank.
Yep. Apparently, he's gonna have a really like surfer look to him.
Makes sense. He's in the ocean.
And Jason Momoa is actually a professional surfer.
so. Okay.
So, and he's gonna be all like tribal tattooed up and everything.
Will he be surfing on a dolphin?
I really hope so.
Comes riding in and using like using the dolphin just like a surfboard up in the waves.
Right before Batman goes, look, there's Aquaman, and he goes, and it does the like surfing
Yes.
music, and he's.
Okay.
I cannot do the surfing.
You're
music,
like
apparently.
na 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 na.
Okay,
It's
all
like
right.
generic na 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 for
Yeah.
everything.
But there was another rumor that kind of surfaced with this, is that Aquaman may have saved Superman
I saw
in the
this.
Man of Steel movie.
Which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, so there's a part where Superman falls into the oil rig after saving people, or not into the oil rig, but into the ocean. And he's laying there and he's remembering his life and everything like that. And then he opens his eyes and there's some whales passing by overhead. And that apparently was Aquaman seeing if Superman was okay and having the whales drag him onto land, because then it cuts and he's suddenly on shore.
Yeah, and he doesn't know he got there. He's just kind of there.
He's just kind of there and everything. So it could be that Aquaman was like, I don't know who you are, but you're in the water and you're human and I need to save you. And so he saved him.
Maybe he did. Maybe he saw what he
What he
did
did,
because
and
he
he's
held
like-
up that whole side of the oil rig before it collapsed. So.
That would be pretty cool. I
Which-
would have preferred him in the Indian Ocean helping Superman out, but
like he just like flies out of the water and stabs the world engine with his trident and
Yep.
it blows up.
he's like, "Don't worry, I got it."
Got it. I got this.
So that's the Dawn of Justice news. That's kind of exciting.
All right.
And Jason Momoa has been very.
We're gonna know everything about the freaking movie before
Yeah.
it even comes out.
Yeah, you know a movie that we're not going to know much about, and we're going to get to that now. I know it's a little bit down the list, but I want to bring it up now since we kind of relate to it. Fantastic Four, the reboot.
Oh, with Black Human Torch
Yeah.
and their
Kate Mara.
half brother and sister or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they finished filming already. They're scheduled for a June release of next year.
whoa.
And nobody has known anything. There's been like one photo leaked where Kate Mara leaked a photo of everybody having dinner after the filming was done shooting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
that they did it all in secret, but scary as well.
Yeah. It's like, is it not that popular? Okay, so
Or
they
did
did
it
talk about...
If it got done that quick, does that mean it's going to be bad?
Oh, well, I don't know. We're going to have to see.
We're going to have another Silver Surfer on our hands.
Oh, let's hope not. So here's what we know. And these are things that have been leaked. The first thing is that Michael B. Jordan and Kate Mara's character, that's Johnny and Sue Storm, are brother and sister still.
Michael B. Jordan's he's the guy from Chronicle.
Mm-hmm.
The jock that gets killed. Spoiler alert.
Yep, sorry, the black kid.
Mm-hmm.
And
Kate Mara.
Yeah, I don't know what she's from.
She's been really popular. She's Zoe from House of Cards. She's the reporter.
Oh, you know what? I think she's been in American Horror Story.
Yeah, she's been in some other stuff too. But that's where I know her from the most.
Yeah.
When I saw her face, I recognized exactly who she was. So.
Yeah. But they're going to be brother and sister still. It's just Kate Mara is adopted by Michael B. Jordan's family.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool. And then their origin story has changed, Scott. This was revealed that their origin story isn't going to be shot into space and bombarded
by cosmic rays.
Yep. Instead, it's going to be a lab accident where they're exposed to the energies from another dimension and given their powers.
Oh, they're going the whole what Flash TV show is doing, where the particle accelerator erupts and all these unknown energies from other dimensions mutate a bunch of people.
It's actually more close to their Ultimate Universe selves.
Okay, yeah.
So, which, if they go full Ultimate Universe route, and it turns out that Mr. Fantastic becomes one of the world's greatest supervillains, that would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
because if you remember in Ultimate Universe,
he's a bad guy. He's a very bad guy, apparently.
So I'm excited. I was totally unexpecting it to be coming out anytime soon. So next June, I mean, we're gonna start seeing probably around Super Bowl time. We're gonna start seeing previews and trailers and everything.
So Fantastic Four to me is one of those titles, or whatever you want to call it, where I don't really care if Marvel doesn't own them.
Really?
That makes sense. I do, just because I want Marvel to do everything. However, they don't, even in the comics, they rarely fit in with the rest of the Marvel world.
That's
they
true.
kind of are off doing their own thing, and they've been doing that since they were invented.
They kind of don't really mesh.
Jack Kirby,
too often.
I think, did it.
Yeah, I think he was the one.
Yeah, they don't mesh up very often. They very rarely help save the world. They're always doing their own deal with Doctor Doom, and pretty much the only time that they join up with like the Avengers or the X-Men or anything like that is with Doctor Doom if he threatens the world, or if Galactus comes back.
Yeah, exactly. Anything galactic threat is kind of theirs.
If the world is dripping with doom.
Gosh. Dripping with doom. Which, by the way, you just bought a Ripped Apparel t-shirt.
I did. It was Doom's stout, was it?
Yeah,
Pale ale or something like that.
Latvia
Stout.
Yeah,
it's like a Latvia
says,
Stout.
Enjoy
shirt.
the taste of doom.
Yeah, and then I also bought the Red Skull whiskey, but then after I bought it, I was like, oh, that's a Nazi shirt.
Oh,
am I gonna? I won't care. I'll still wear it, but I'm like, someone might be upset.
It
doesn't have the swastika anywhere on it, so
yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, no one will really know. They'll just be like, oh, cool, it's a Red Skull from Marvel, or they'll be like, that guy looks weird. His face is all sunburnt. Red Skull just has a perpetual sunburn.
He's just got a big sunburn on his face. So speaking of Jack Kirby, we've got a superhero copyright fight going on. Right?
Gotta love those, right?
Sort of. It's kind of done now, but
not him though. I think isn't he dead?
Yeah, I think he's dead.
He died.
But his children, his four heirs, whatever
kids,
the four Kirby kids.
Four Kirbys.
The Fantastic Four Kirby kids.
That's an awesome band that Nintendo needs to make. The Four Kirbys.
Yes. They are fighting to get money from Jack Kirby's co-creations.
Oh, AKA, so they're greedy.
Yeah, exactly. They're being greedy. Jack Kirby helped create the Hulk, Fantastic Four, like we talked about, X-Men, Thor, Captain America. Like all of those are him and Stan Lee working together.
50-50.
Yep. And apparently there was a settlement that came up.
It was going to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
because the local courts couldn't solve it and couldn't come to a conclusion. So it was going to go to the Supreme Court of the United States, and they reached a conclusion, and they requested it to be pulled from the Supreme Court.
Which means Marvel...
Someone paid him out, yeah.
Yeah, Marvel was like, you know what? Captain America, Thor, and the Hulk are pretty much 3 of our biggest sellers, so we're going to pay you a whole bunch of money to shut the heck up.
Yeah.
They should have been like, we're only going to pay you for Hulk, Thor, and Captain America. Fantastic Four and X-Men, you got to go to Fox for that.
Yeah.
Or we don't care.
But that's movie stuff. They're
know.
talking about a piece of the pie from comics, which means, guess what? They're like, here's $1 million split between the 4 of you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about
That's
how much
not
money you're
very
going to get
much.
from your comic book.
You don't get very much for
So
comics.
I think we don't know for sure. I don't know for sure what they came to conclusion, but someone paid him out. Probably not as much money as they wanted, or maybe not even any money at all. And just from here on out, they get a piece of it. They get like 0.5% or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. But that's fun. It's always fun to have people arguing over their rights and stuff. I mean, I agree that creators need to have rights to stuff, but they're not the creators. They're kids. They're kids of the creator. The creator, he died.
Yeah.
Once your creator's dead, to me, it's like, I think it should be done.
Yeah,
I think it should go to public domain or to the company that still uses it.
Because that's all you ever hear about with these stories is it's never the creator who's complaining and they're not getting a big enough cut.
Always a relative or
rarely.
something.
Yeah, it's always the relatives of them. Like the Siegel and Schuster thing. Mm-hmm. I think it was either Siegel or Schuster. Their family was complaining about Superman. And they reached a settlement, like they own the Superman that can leap really far, and kind of the weaker original Superman.
The original Action Comics Superman.
Yeah, so not the new age Superman. That's
the best one.
Yeah, that's totally badass. Speaking of Marvel,
we never stop speaking of it, so
exactly,
you don't even
yeah.
need to clarify.
This is actually a really interesting episode. I'm looking over the news, and I'm like, I can weave everything into one another. You're episode,
like one giant segue.
Yep, exactly.
And that could be a band name as well. One giant segue.
That is my Rolling Stones cover band.
And it's a Segway you ride around on, but it's got monster truck wheels on it.
Presenting the Grave Digger,
the Segwayer.
All right, so back anyway. As I was saying, Marvel news. Luke Cage has been cast, Scott, and we don't know who he is. This is for the Netflix TV series.
Nice. Okay.
And the only thing we know about it is it's not Idris Elba. Because somebody asked Idris Elba if he's been contacted about Luke Cage, and he said, I think they already got somebody, which is unfortunate because he showed interest in playing
I'm not that big of a fan of Idris Elba.
You're not?
I don't think he's a Luke Cage fan. Luke Cage is bald. He's going to have to go bald.
Oh my gosh. Like that's such a hard thing for somebody to do.
I don't look at Idris Elba and go, "Oh, he's a super strong man." No,
yeah.
I go at it and I'm like, he yells about the apocalypse. That's all I know.
And how we're canceling it.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I gotta cancel the apocalypse.
I gotta cancel Luke Cage.
Oh, great. Here we go. Again with the cancellations.
Like every morning.
Yeah.
We're going to cancel donuts and go with bagels instead.
Oh, damn it. I was looking forward to donuts today. So, yeah, Luke Cage is coming. We just don't know who he is yet. Who do you think would be a good role for him?
I have no idea.
Terry Crews.
Yeah.
If you can get
Terry Crews is funny.
Yeah, that's true.
And Luke Cage is kind of he's not a very comedic person.
He does say Sweet Christmas, which is like as comedic as it comes.
Yeah, but Iron Fist is kind of the comedy of that duo.
No, actually, I think Iron Fist is the more serious one.
Really? Maybe I need to read more comics with them in it.
He's like the martial arts complete balance guy.
Terry Crews is in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes,
and I hear he's hilarious in it.
I would love to see him as Luke Cage.
Yeah, I could see that. And he's got the build for it, for sure.
Yeah. Some more Marvel news. X-Men Apocalypse. Bryan Singer has finally been confirmed as the director, even though he's been writing it for 2 months. There was never...
Yeah, there was no official contract in place or something like that. You know what?
There was no doubt in everybody's mind after what he did with Days of Future
Past.
Wow, I cannot
Days of
speak
Future
today.
Past.
Yeah, Days of Future.
Which was a
Can't
great
even-
movie.
I can't even finish it. Days of Future Past. Oh God.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great movie. Quicksilver was the
That's gonna
breakout
be
star.
that's gonna be your warm up now. You're gonna be like Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past.
The
Days of
Human
Future
Torch was denied a bank loan.
How now, brown cow?
So it has to be all like superhero stuff.
Oh yeah. True. Well, maybe there's a superhero called the Cow.
The brown cow.
No, that's the black version of him that they
No,
got in the 70s to try and make him more edgy and you know.
Okay. And then they realize they can't call him the brown cow
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly. It's like, oh, we better give him a different name.
Yeah, he's just the
Let's-
cow.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take a page from
His alter ego's How Now.
DC. How now? I am How Now. Howie, actually.
Howie.
Everybody calls him Howie, even though
Howie
he is silent.
Nanzel. Howie Nanzel.
He's Howie Denzel, the
Howie
bald
Mandel.
guy.
Howie Mandel.
Mandel.
Is
thank
it
you.
Mandel? I think it's Mandel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you're getting your X-Men Apocalypse from Fox, which is
Which
great.
is awesome. I was half hoping that Days of Future Past would fail, like hard, just crash, worst ever, so that Fox would finally go, you know what? Maybe we need to team up with Marvel, or maybe we need to let Marvel take control of it. But they did such a good job. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll see where it goes.
So Disney bought the rights to Marvel for like $3 billion. It was $4 billion.
Something, yeah.
How much do you think Disney would spend to get the X-Men back?
I don't know.
Do you think that Fox would ever accept it?
No.
No.
Fox. I don't think Fox. I think Fox is going to keep a stranglehold on that.
They're gonna beat it until it's dead.
What do they call that? That
The
title, that premiere, that's I don't know.
property.
Property.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I could not remember that word.
It's the curse of the 13th episode.
No! You forget how to talk. That's
Yep.
pretty much every episode for us.
It's all
Yeah.
been leading up.
I think
to
they're going
this.
to keep a stranglehold on that property
Yeah.
indefinitely.
Because Fox likes to keep strangleholds on properties, which leads us into our next story, where William Shatner came out on Twitter.
It's Twitter. Yep.
Yeah, and because that's where you come out with your opinions now,
Yeah, apparently.
and said, "Hey Fox, release the rights to Firefly, please,
Or at least sell them.
or sell them. Thank you,
So that
William
so that-
Shatner."
so that someone else can do something with it.
Yeah, and I agree with him.
I do too.
I think Fox needs to let go of that property that they're not making any money on.
No.
They're making barely any merchandising rights or anything like. And they can sell it to somebody and keep part of the merchandising rights.
Yeah.
Let somebody else do something with it like they can. The Nerd Block fan create, or was it Nerd Block or was it Loot Crate
It was Nerd Block.
that did the fan created? Are you sure? I thought it was Loot Crate.
No. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Luke. I get
Loot
those
Crate
mixed
did
up all
their
the time.
fan created
'Cause it was-
Firefly thing called The Verse.
Yeah, and it was
And-
14 minutes long. It's on YouTube.
Mhm.
We'll talk about it in our trailers.
Okay.
But
Alrighty. Yeah. We'll add that to the trailer list. But there's so much that can be done with this property outside of Fox, but they just don't want to let it go for some reason. I think
Like
they
I
don't
said-
want to admit their mistake. I think they don't want to be like, yeah, we did wrong by that. Here, take it off our hands. They want to be like, nope, we were right canceling it, and it's never going to be there again. And that's just kind of the way Fox is stupid. But speaking of William Shatner, for the longest time, he was saying that he didn't want to be in the new Star Trek movies, the 2009 one and Star Trek Into Darkness. And then all of a sudden, somebody asked him about Star Trek 3, which Robert Orci, the writer,
Orsi.
Orci, I
That's
thought
how
it
you
was
say it.
Orci.
No, I think it's Orsi.
He said he wanted to come out and have William Shatner be a part of it, cameo like Spock does.
Yeah, like Leonard Nimoy. And sorry if you just heard that. I just smacked the table.
The 13th episode. Thud. So he actually came out and said, yeah, he'd like to. He'd be okay with that. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. To be honest, having old Spock in the movie is kind of a bad point for me.
Yeah, I'm glad in the second one, at the most they ever did was just like they gave him a Skype call.
Yeah,
They Skyped him. That's pretty
But
much it.
honestly, it kind of changes everything, to be honest. And if you have more characters, like if they do a cameo where William Shatner is just another admiral, that's fine. But if they do a cameo where he's old Kirk,
Yeah.
I don't really know about that.
Yeah, I don't know either. That sounds a little strange.
Yeah. So that's that. But Scott, Star Trek, the new ones were directed by J.J. Abrams, who is coming out with a new Hulu TV series based on a Stephen King novel. That's how that relates.
Wait. What? Okay. Star Trek, yes. Okay,
Yes.
now I got it.
Got it? Okay. So J.J. Abrams and Stephen King are working on a project called 11/23/63, which is the date that John F. Kennedy...
22?
Or sorry, did I say 23?
Yeah.
Yeah, 11/22/63, which is the date that John F. Kennedy was shot and killed. This is based off a Stephen King novel by the same name, where the school teacher goes back to that day to save John F. Kennedy and prevent him from being assassinated.
Your wife will love this.
Oh yeah, she'll absolutely love this show.
She's a big John F. Kennedy conspiracy fan.
Oh yeah, that's all she ever talks about is the JFK assassination.
No, I recall this because are you joking? You're joking right now.
Yeah, I am joking. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, she likes it because when I first met her, you said we were talking about something and we mentioned it somehow, it came up in conversation. She's like, "Oh, I love watching documentaries and stuff about that." And you're like, "Oh yeah, she does."
Yeah, that's true. Actually, we had just barely watched a documentary about it and everything.
That's what I remember.
Okay.
It's the only thing about her I do remember.
Oh,
so
good. I'm glad that's now we know that what you and her talk about behind closed doors.
John F. Kennedy, huh?
Yeah.
How about that?
I just like how
about
it was the comedian who killed him.
I know. That's true. That's the big conspiracy.
Okay, now that we've jumped around through the news, we're gonna go. Let's see. Got that. Idris Elba.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba. Oh, Scott, I got some sad news for you.
Tragedy.
Yes.
Tragedy.
Oh. The Why the Last Man film is dead.
No.
For those of you who have not been listening to the podcast, welcome to your first one.
Go listen to all the other 12 and then this one.
Yep. Brian K. Vaughan is the writer of Why the Last Man, and it's one of Scott's favorite
fantastic graphic novel. I have turned 4 friends onto graphic novels through it that they've never read a single one, and I'm like, read this. And I'll let them borrow it or they'll go buy it, and from that point on, they're like, wow, I love graphic novels. They're great.
Yep. So. And for the longest time, it was a film in development, but they never really got it off the ground, and the rights reverted back to Brian K. Vaughan. So now he can do with them what he wants.
Which, like you mentioned earlier today, a TV series.
Yep.
I think it would work great.
I think that's why it might be what we see is a TV series maybe on AMC.
A la The Walking Dead.
Yep.
Why
or
the Last
HBO. Man. I mean, these apocalyptic movie or TV shows are right up AMC's alley right now. They can be like, okay, cut for Walking Dead for the day. Let's use this same post-apocalyptic set for Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It would work really well adapted to a TV series.
Yeah. Although it would be weird that they would spend an entire season in a prison.
No.
In Why the Last Man.
No, they don't do that.
No.
One thing I do like about it, however, is a lot of people, and I agree with this to most extents, there's not a lot of very strong female characters in comic books.
True.
It's pretty male-oriented. It's,
because most of the people who read comics, at least up to this point, like it's starting to shift a little bit. But so far, it's been mostly male.
Male-dominated, basically. So, even if it's like 70% of your readership's male, still, you probably want to cater to who's going to buy them the most. Don't necessarily agree all the time, but there's been some pretty good stuff coming out. We've got Wonder Woman's really good. Batgirl's been really good. Batwoman has been really good.
Gail Simone has done great work on Batgirl and now Red Sonja. And we're starting to see this shift to more popular female
One thing I like about Why the
characters.
Last Man, yes, the main character is a guy. However, he's the only guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
one other. There's one other male.
The space guy.
No,
there's
the
2
monkey.
from space. Yeah, but read it. But there are so many very well written female characters. And Brian K. Vaughan does this a lot in the newest one, Saga, that he's doing. Pretty much it's, a guy and a girl And the girl's actually more fun to read, like her story, her
Yeah.
side of things. I like way better than I like the guy's side of things.
I need to read more of that novel.
Yeah.
I need
It's great.
volume 2.
It's great.
Onward.
Anything
More
by him is
tragedy.
Oh no, this is
More
gonna be
tragedy.
such a sad day.
Yeah, sad episode. Blizzard Entertainment has been working on a project for 7 years that they have titled Titan, Project Titan. It was supposed to be the next WoW, basically, like their next subscription-based game. And after 7 years
I've
of
seen
development,
it. I've seen a small video of it.
what?
So,
What the hell?
um,
And you haven't shown me yet?
a buddy of mine,
Okay.
you know him, my
Okay.
best friend.
Yeah.
He says, check out this Blizzard video, and they talk about working at Blizzard, and they interview a bunch of different people that work on WoW and on StarCraft. And then they kind of do just random shots of people working at Blizzard, and he goes, watch from here to here, this point to this point, and there's a guy playing a game just like WoW, only with a totally StarCraft-esque interface and a Marine running around and doing stuff. Full-on Marine armor and everything.
Is it Titan or is it...
I don't know, but it
the
looks...
StarCraft 2 mod called StarCraft Universe.
I don't know, but it looks like Titan because it didn't look anything like StarCraft 2. I mean, other than
So here's
it
the
was
thing.
tech.
So there was a mod like released, like they opened up their modding community for StarCraft.
Yeah.
And somebody came out with a StarCraft mod called StarCraft Universe, where you take control of one character and it's like a Zealot or a Marine or a Zerg, I think a Hydralisk or something, and you run around first person style like a WoW setting with that.
Maybe I need to go get that because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, you can get it for free on StarCraft 2. You just download it right there.
Nice.
So it could be that.
Maybe that, or it might have been.
You will have to show me this, and I
screenshots
will
of-
have to freak out about it for a while.
It's really quick. Like, it was very hard. I had to watch it 2 or 3 times to be like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, Titan is dead.
Oh, sad. I mean, they put 9 years into
7.
StarCraft Ghost,
Oh, 9. Oh, yeah, Ghost.
something like
yeah.
that. 6 to 9 years into
they just-
Ghost, and then they just canned it.
Yep.
And everyone was so excited for that to come out.
Yeah.
First-person shooter from Blizzard would have been sweet.
Yep. And
Especially anything set in the StarCraft universe, I'm all over. I buy the collector's editions. I buy
would've-
the
oh my gosh.
statues. Like, I love that kind of stuff. Love it.
They would have been the game. That's the thing that bugs me about StarCraft Ghost is that was before Halo and before all these other first-person shooters that are really popular now.
Yeah.
They would have been the game, and everybody else once again would have been following Blizzard. But Blizzard has this tendency of being the game is not up to our standards. It never has been up to our standards. We've been trying and trying and trying, but we can't get it, so we're just going to cancel it.
Yeah.
And they have the money and the power and everything to do that. And that turns them into a company that's not like Activision, where they're just like, "We'll put it out anyway."
Although
just put out a
Activision
crappy
owns
game.
Blizzard.
Well, yeah, okay, EA then.
That's a better one. Yeah.
Yeah.
EA.
They don't just say put out a crappy game because
How many FIFA games are there, or
my
like
gosh, yeah.
like Madden? It's like Madden 88.
in the street basketball 2012, things like that.
Yeah.
They don't put out these games just because we already put the money into them. They just say, well, it's not a good game, we're not going to put it out. And that's like, I'm the Blizzard fanboy, of course, but that's why I love Blizzard, is because they are willing to scrap a game like that if they don't feel it meets their standards.
Here's what they need to do. They need to outsource it then. If they can't meet their standards to the point, they need to just release it for free and say, with a disclaimer, we tried to finish this game and we couldn't. If your modding community want to take a crack at it, go ahead.
Yeah.
Here you go.
That would...
I would play a half-finished Ghost any day. I mean, even if it only had half the levels or there were glitches, still play the dang thing because
Yeah.
I want to play it. It sounds awesome. Same with Titan.
I
Just release Titan for free, and
I don't
you've
think
already
they would
put
ever
7
release anything for free.
You already
They
put
could be
7
like,
years into it. You might. Well, they are. Here's the storm.
It's not free, Scott. It's transaction based.
Okay, fine. Make Titan transaction based.
Yeah, there you go. You want to get the best mods, you have to pay for them.
Yeah, unless you develop them, then they're yours. Then you can sell them to us.
So that's the other bit of tragic news that I have, but I do have some good news. It's Guardians of the Galaxy good news.
Yay! I don't think we've gone a single episode since we started.
Yeah, I don't think...
Where we haven't mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, they have once again passed by major movies in domestic box office.
Doing my Guardians of the Galaxy dance now.
Which is the Baby Groot dance, I can see.
Yep.
They passed by Iron Man 1 and became the third highest Marvel movie ever to make money. Domestically.
Yeah, not overall. But
Avengers is number 1 with 623 million.
Okay, understandable.
Iron Man 3 is number 2 with around 400 million something.
It's like 409, I think.
Yeah. And then now it's Guardians of the Galaxy with 319 million domestically.
Woo!
Did you ever think we would get to this point?
No. We were talking earlier about this, and I'm going to say the same thing I did. I was excited for Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the team. I love the comics. However, I was not expecting it to be successful. I thought it was going to be good because of the writer and the director they got and some of the stuff we'd seen. I knew it was going to be good and I was going to love it, but I did not think it would be this successful. And it is blowing up, and holy crap, that's amazing.
Yeah. I have people at work who their entire family is going as the Guardians of the Galaxy for Halloween.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And more power to them.
That means there will be a second one. There'll be a tie-in, maybe a third one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna get 3 and an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tie-in.
Maybe
where Howard the Duck comes to Earth.
A Nova. We'll jump into a Nova one.
Yeah. The Arrow is coming. And the Flash.
You mean just Arrow? It's not the Arrow. It's just Arrow.
I know. I was just like...
They can't even call him Green Arrow.
Yeah. But they're going to have a crossover episode, and they've released the title for it. It's going to be called The Brave and the Bold. You know?
Huh. Yeah, okay. Kind of a tongue-in-cheek, because that's normally Batman and Superman, or Batman's thing.
Yeah, Batman, the Brave and the Bold, and whatnot.
Who's brave?
I would say that Arrow is brave and Flash is bold.
I don't know. You go either way, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, I've got my thinking face on. Like,
brave and bold are pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's also another TV show coming based on the Red Mars book trilogy. Have you ever read the Red Mars book trilogy?
But I added them all to my wish list as soon as I saw this, because I read the synopsis and I seemed very interested in it.
Basically, it looks like it's colonizing Mars, right?
Yes, because there's Red Mars, Green Mars,
which is,
and Blue Mars.
Yeah,
that's in that order.
And
Red Mars
I saw the covers, and Red Mars is
colonization,
like, and Green Mars is like a lush jungle area or forest
and then
area.
Blue has like full oceans of water and stuff.
Which it looks really cool, and you'll have to read them and let me know what you think of them.
Yeah,
and then we'll have to watch the TV show.
Oh, I definitely will.
Yeah, because there's not enough TV shows that we're already watching. For example, Steven Spielberg's fantasy TV show.
I'm glad we have a DVR. I'm glad we've got crazy good DVR. So.
But Steven Spielberg is even coming out with a TV show to TNT called Lumen. It's a fantasy TV show.
Do they talk about how bright bulbs are? How many lumens?
That would be luminous.
No, it's called lumen. L-U-M-E-N.
Really? They call them lumen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 600 lumens or 700 lumens.
Maybe that's what they mean. Then it's a fantasy TV show.
It's something about fairies, I bet you.
Yeah. Basically, this writer.
Am I right? Am I really right?
I
okay.
don't know. But
I don't know.
All I know about it is the story is about this famous fantasy writer who disappears. Her name is probably Lumen, and her family gets sucked into her fantasy world and gets embroiled in this struggle between good and evil.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that's all we really know about it at this point. It's coming to TNT.
Someone needs to make... This is totally kind of off topic, but speaking of Steven Spielberg, and he was helping the guy that wrote like the Dark Tower series and
Stephen King.
They were doing something together, weren't they?
I don't know.
Anyways, they need to make an Alan Wake movie based off the video game.
Oh yeah,
where the guy goes on a little island retreat with his wife to write a horror novel. Wakes up, has lost weeks of time,
His wife is
his
gone.
wife is gone, and all like pages of the book are everywhere, and he has to go like track things down and fight monsters.
He's got to fight off
That's
the
what
shadows.
this first thing came to mind when you said Lumen and like Steven Spielberg, Stephen King, you know, fantasy. I was like, ooh, Alan Wake.
Yeah.
That'd be a good movie.
That is a good game, Alan Wake.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little horror. It's one of those horror genres, like horror survival games, basically. Scott, you're a college man, sort of. You've done some college
I've taken
classes.
one of them colleges.
Would you go back to college if you could take a course about the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I wouldn't go back to college, but I'd just go take the course.
Well,
just the course.
well, there you go. So there is a college that is offering a Marvel movie universe, the University of Baltimore.
I could ace this class.
Yes,
It'd be fun.
Yes.
But I could ace it.
Apparently, it's probably teaches the course.
It's probably not going to be fun though. It'll be like
Well-
write a report on the.
Well, I've heard
I don't
of,
wanna
I've
write no
heard of other
reports.
people doing this. One of my other podcasters is a school teacher, and he did a college course about the impact of the Star Wars franchise
Right.
over the years from
Okay.
the 70s on. And they talk about the prequels, and they talk about the hero's journey and making a story and everything like that. So this could be a really good pop culture class. It could teach you some things about the way things go these days and how like the best way for business models to be and everything like that. So there's a lot that you could get out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, diving into how to best adapt from the comics to keep people happy but keep things fresh, that kind of thing.
You get more people taking a class if you just were like, we're going to watch Marvel movies and
Yeah,
TV stuff.
I'm sure they're going to be like, okay,
The whole-
for your homework, go watch Iron Man 3 times.
No, just in class. We'll just be like, all right, it's Iron Man 2.
Great.
Don't worry, tomorrow will be Iron Man 3. Yay!
Yay! I wonder if they'll go into the other cinematics, or the other movies, like X-Men or Spider-Man.
Maybe.
Who knows?
And talk about the jerks that own them.
Yeah. So, Scott, I have some Funko Pop news for you. A new set of figures is coming out with the classic X-Men.
Ooh. Oh,
How-
that's
how do those
fantastic.
look?
Oh, that's fantastic. Professor X in his golden chair where
Yes.
you can't see his legs.
Yes, I want the Professor X.
Mystique in the white outfit.
Yep, I want the Colossus one. The Magneto one looks pretty cool. So it's Cyclops, Colossus, Magneto, Professor X, Mystique, and Storm.
There needs to be Rogue, Wolverine, Gambit.
Yeah.
I would buy a Gambit one in a heartbeat. Iceman, Morpheus.
I don't care about Morph, but Iceman. Oh my gosh,
Nightcrawler?
I would buy an Iceman immediately.
Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I'm not as big of a
Archangel.
Yeah, I'd buy an Archangel.
I'm just like naming classic X-Men.
Yeah, and you're seeing my reactions like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
I know who
Then
Corey
where's the
likes and
Beast?
doesn't like.
Where's the Beast
Yeah,
one?
where's Beast?
I want a Beast one where he kind of looks more beastly, where he kind of looks more cat-like, where he kind of looks more human.
Where yeah, because he's changed like 6 times
Yes,
in the
he
comic.
keeps changing because his mutation's weird.
That's because he keeps messing with it.
Yeah.
He should just let it be its thing, and he keeps
Well, he doesn't
screwing
want
with
to
it.
be.
I know. Come on.
That's part of his character. I think that the Colossus is probably my favorite, though.
I might have to buy them like when they have a bundle.
Yeah. Do they do bundles? They
Yeah,
do bundles.
a lot of times they'll do a bundle deal where you can get like 4, all 4 of them in one package for $35 or something like that.
All right. Last bit of news, and then we'll go ahead and get into some reviews of some TV shows we watched this week.
Okay.
Exciting.
Because we have not seen any good movies lately.
No.
There haven't been really any. I think The Equalizer's
Yeah,
out
The
today.
Equalizer
But
and Box Trolls, which
still-
I hear is kind of a good family fun movie.
yeah, that one didn't really interest me. Equalizer, even that one was kind of like,
It's based on an old TV show.
eh.
Yeah.
I guess Denzel Washington, is that who it is? Denzel
Yes.
Washington?
Mhm.
Kills someone with a power drill in it.
That's pretty cool.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
But they are adapting a movie based on the comic from Dark Horse called The Breath of Bones, Tale of the Golem. And this is a comic that is set in World War II, where this kid is in this Jewish family, and, the Nazis are coming and everything.
It's a Jewish fable.
Mhm.
So,
Yep. And then he actually, apparently, him and his family give life to a golem who protects them and everything. So we could see a nice little World
It's like
War
a Minecraft village.
almost, yeah.
They bring a golem to life and it protects them.
Minecraft villagers in the base Minecraft have big noses too, by the way.
Oh, so yeah. I wonder if Minecraft people were racist.
That sounds a little racist, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like enough people in this village and suddenly there's a golem.
Not all Jewish people have big noses or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a stereotype.
That is kind of weird now. Like I
was just thinking the whole golem thing, because when you have enough Minecraft villagers, they spawn a golem, and the golem helps protect them from skeletons and zombies.
And you've never actually seen the original, like the regular villagers too often, because you play with texture pack from the beginning. Yeah.
No, I have actually. They look goofy like the witch looks with the huge nose that covers most of their face. And they're just weird looking.
Yeah, and now like that just shatters my entire that makes sense why man, you can't even talk about this without sounding racist. So we're just gonna move on. So that movie is coming. It's going to be cool. I hope. It's nice to see more comics coming that are a little bit less superhero oriented, but still like comic related.
Yeah, this one's got kind of like a little bit of mythology and religion mixed into it, and it's supposed to be a good comic.
Yeah.
I saw some of the art, and I was really impressed with the art. It's kind of like the same art as Amelia Cole in the Unknown World.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of fun, but still well drawn.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into the TV shows that premiered this week. Do you want to start with Gotham Season 1, Episode 1, or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2, Episode 1?
Let's go Gotham.
Gotham
first.
So, Gotham, for those of you who have not been listening to the podcast, what is up? Why are you not listening to these things?
Yeah, you're listening now. You might as well have listened all that time beforehand. Go back and change that, would you?
But Gotham is from Fox. It is set before Bruce Wayne became Batman, when he's a little kid. In fact, Episode 1 starts out with the murder.
The Wayne murder.
Yep, of Bruce Wayne's parents, which is crazy. And it goes into
Thomas and Martha Wayne, right? Yeah.
Which we need to watch that super cut of all the times they've died.
I did.
You did? Is it funny?
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was a little. It wasn't as good as like Honest Trailer supercuts.
Yeah.
But
so it basically focuses on a young Jim Gordon who just made detective, and his partner, who's an aide detective called Harvey Bullock, who's pretty corrupt in this.
Yeah, pretty bad.
And it's kind of a cop drama that involves the Batman characters.
Well,
now, at first, when we heard about this, is they said, here's a show that every now and then there's a Batman character, and it's kind of just like they drop him in there but for me, it's here's a show about Gotham PD, and every now and then I get to see this glimpse into how things began for these characters.
How it all started.
Yep.
And that was my worry at the beginning. I was like, it's just a cop drama, and they rarely throw any kind of Batman references in. That's gonna kind of suck. Yeah. It's gonna be reference in name only, not anything else. Well, that's not true.
Yep.
I mean, we saw Gordon, we saw Gordon's wife, we saw Harvey Bullock, we saw
Selena Kyle,
who
was already a thief and already very cat-like.
We saw Poison Ivy. Well,
that's the one part that I
don't like. You just don't like her name.
Well, yeah, they changed her name to Ivy Peppers.
Yeah, instead of Pamela Isley. Maybe she changes it later in life because you don't want to be Pepper anymore.
Okay, well, let's hope so.
You also didn't like Jim's wife's name, Barbara.
Well, yeah, that's because I thought that was kind of weird that they named her after Barbara Gordon.
But that's really her name.
But
we looked it up. It was really her name.
Apparently, Barbara is named after her mother.
Fish Mooney, I think, is in the comics as well. No.
She is not in the comics.
But still a pretty good character.
She is a great character.
Oswald Cobblepot was in it.
The guy that they got to play Cobblepot was incredibly cool.
Yeah, he told me he puts bottle caps upside down facing his feet in his shoes so that he can get the same kind of walk that
the same kind of waddle, the same light step waddle because he doesn't want to hurt himself.
Yeah. They Falcone they call him.
Falcone.
I'd rather say Falcone. I think Falcone sounds better. But...
Edward Nygma is a forensic scientist in this, and he's already obsessed with riddles, and his character was kind of like, I want to see more of him interacting with Gordon. And like Gordon, he says this riddle and Gordon answers it in a couple seconds, and Edward just gives him this look like, how dare you answer my riddle so quickly and so efficiently, you know?
And there was one other I was thinking of. Renee Montoya.
Renee Montoya.
The internal affairs girl.
Yeah. Or she's like Major Crimes Division.
Yeah, Major Crimes Division.
Yeah, but she's in it too, her and her partner.
So right there, you've got this massive list of Batman characters.
Yeah.
Some of which not very popular, but they're still knowable. I mean, and we're not even that huge of Batman fans. Like, we like Batman the animated series a lot and the movies that come out with, but as far as the comics go, I read Batman, but I'm not really that into it.
Yeah, I mean, Batman's not one of my favorites. But Gotham really hooked me. Like, at the end of it, I was like, yeah,
very
I'm ready
surprising,
for the next
very
one.
well done. You get to see how corrupt the Gotham PD was.
Almost completely.
Pretty much everyone lets the criminals do whatever they want,
and just
as
get
long as
away
they
with
get a
it.
cut of it, you know. It was really good, really well done.
I thought the only part that I really didn't like is the way they portrayed Alfred. They didn't make him so much a like high class British butler with kind of the snobbish sarcastic air to him. They kind of made him more of a down, like a low class with the voice and the way he acted, and he kind of
and I think that might have just been because Bruce had just gone through a tragedy and he's doing all kinds of crazy crap.
I hope so.
And Alfred's just like, I got to be the dad for a while.
Yeah.
Even though Bruce is the boss, but
yeah,
you know, he's like, I still have to take care of him.
I hope so, but it seemed, I don't know, it kind of seems like the character was
we'll see. We
yeah.
didn't get a lot of interaction with them, just a few lines, and that was it.
How much more interaction do you think we're going to get with the Wayne family?
I have no idea.
Because, you know, Bruce is, he already looks like he's gearing up to go train to get his revenge on this killer and everything. Yeah. And, you know, it'll start out as revenge, but it'll turn to a greater purpose, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not sure how much more we're going to see from them. I know the only person who is actually any good is Jim, and his morals get tested so often.
And he actually does have to do some sort of shady things.
Yeah.
But in the end, they're still good. Like,
yeah.
They still get him to the good point, even though it's kind of shady to get there.
Yeah, and he does not look happy about it at all.
No, he does not like it. And I think that's the initial spark of, I'm going to have to straighten this out. I'm going to have to take down the crime families. I'm going to have to take the police department, tear it apart at the seams, and become, you know, I'm sure he's not like trying to become commissioner, but he's trying to just do everything he can to not be corrupt.
Exactly. It starts out really cool with kind of a standoff inside the police department. Well, actually, it starts before the it starts with Wayne murder, but then it goes into this cool standoff in the police department.
It started with Selena Kyle.
Oh yeah,
running through the rooftops.
She's everywhere.
She's all over the place, stealing things, and that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
I know your wife didn't like the fact that she looks quite a bit older than
Bruce. She had that complaint at the beginning, but then we kind of started looking at it, and they both look about the same age.
Yeah.
She might be like 1 or 2 years older, but you know, that's fine.
Or maybe she's the same age, but just being out on the streets makes her mature quicker. You know,
exactly. So, all in all, out of 5, I give it 4.
Yeah,
4.5.
I'm right there with you. Yeah. Well, I'm 4. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say 4.5. I'm 4.
Yeah.
Just because there were a few parts where Gordon's acting and Fish Mooney's were a little over the top and a little super TV.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it happens.
Yep.
But Harvey Bullock, the guy that portrays him does a great job.
Yeah.
Made me hate him. I hate him in the comics. He's such a dick.
But in the comics, he's a dick because he's lazy and he's
but he does do his job.
Yeah, but
he gets it all done, and he's a good guy in general.
In this, he's like, I just got to keep my head down and do what I need to stay out of the crime family's way.
Yeah.
You know, so but it makes him one of those corrupt cops that you're just like, you're a dick.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have some kind of turnaround later on in the next season or so. I hope it does good.
Yeah,
I hope it does. Even though it's owned by Fox.
I hope we see at least 2 seasons, and then we can start getting into more of the superhero things. Maybe.
Probably won't be superheroes. It'll probably just be more exposition. Oh, I really hope we should see a Harleen Quinzel.
Yes.
Oh, the other thing too, there's going to be, remember there's supposed to be a guy in every single episode that could be the Joker, but no one knows.
Yeah.
And I hated it the minute the first season or the first episode came out. There was already articles of, was this guy the Joker?
Yeah. Like whole sites dedicated
No,
to
it
this
wasn't.
stuff. And it's like, no. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2.
Oh, yay.
Which is really cool. Guys, we keep telling you that Season 1 picked up halfway through. Well, Season 2 takes that level that they were at and just continues that climb because it was amazing. You got pretty much the only Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. left are Coulson as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. now, and Skye, who's the main character of the story, basically.
Yeah, she's becoming an actual agent. You
Yeah.
got Agent May.
And Fitzsimmons, which...
And what's his name that plays it?
He's the black agent.
Yeah, well, he was the bad guy in the last season. I've just forgot
Ward.
every one of their names. No, not Ward. No, he was the agent for the other dude that got killed, that Coulson killed at the end. He blew up.
John Garrett.
Yeah, John Garrett's. He was John Garrett's sidekick.
Sidekick. Yeah, that's pretty much
who it was.
how it is. But he's the.
No, I
think
was
he
talking
might
about the
be-
one that Patton Oswalt played.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, he's in there. He's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Koenig, Agent Koenig.
Is it Koenig?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but it's his brother in there and everything. And then you do have the black.
We are.
The one who was actually the son of one or the grandson of one of the Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool, and then they've hired some mercenary people, which include Lucy Lawless's character. So she's right there in the first episode.
Starts off episode starts off back in the 1940s.
Yep.
They're the very first iteration of Shield, the Howling Commandos,
And
led
Agent
by
Carter.
Agent Carter. Peggy
Which you get to
Carter.
see. Oh my gosh, that is
They
just like
they are
perfect.
collecting 084s. They collected the very first,
first.
084,
Which they put it in a crate and they mark it 084 and everything, and they ship it off.
yeah. So you get to see that
Mm-hmm.
on there, and that was awesome. That kind of just like catches your attention right off the
Yep.
bat.
And then it cuts to the modern day,
Mhm.
and there's a deal going on
about
between,
that same 084 from the past, the very
And-
first one.
Right in the middle of this deal, a guy walks up and breaks.
No, not just a guy. Penny's boyfriend from The Big Bang season
And
one.
not just any guy, but he comes up and he kills the people, the informants, like the old S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who are just trying to sell information. And then when they try and shoot him, the bullets hit him and
Do nothing.
they don't do anything. So it turns out that this guy is the Absorbing Man. Oh my gosh. The Absorbing Man is a villain, like a D-list villain in Marvel Comics. He
Yep.
basically, when he touches a material, he can become that material. So there's one point where he's like touching diamonds and he starts becoming diamonds, or he grabs a piece of wood and he becomes wooden all over and everything.
Yeah, he turns himself rubber at one point.
Yep,
metal,
rubber.
glass.
When he
all kinds of
becomes
stuff.
plastic. So he becomes plastic and fools guards by being in a room, like a plastic room, and he's plastic too, and they can't see him.
Glass. It wasn't plastic.
No,
glass.
it was plastic. It was like a plexiglass.
But the way
which
you're
is
saying
plastic.
it, everyone's gonna think black plastic or something.
No,
No,
it's like-
it was like plexiglass. And
Yeah.
he turns into it, and then he hides against it.
which is really cool. And they don't go in and discuss like, oh, how did he get his powers? What trinket is it from? What gadget is it from?
Yep.
Which is what our complaint was
From
about the
season
first
one.
season. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Um,
everything was gadgets. There was no superpowers. Everyone was a gadget.
Yep.
Even the cyborg near the end was a gadget,
Yep.
technically.
Yeah.
So,
So they don't actually go into that. They just say this is who he is, and he's a
dangerous.
supervillain. Yep, he's dangerous, and it's a really rocking episode. Like it holds your attention for the entire thing.
but sad news is they were kind of bummed they didn't get the viewership as NCIS did.
Yeah, exactly.
NCIS got 17
Not
million.
just NCIS, a spinoff.
Oh no,
Got 17 million on their time slot, and they got like 9 million.
that's still good.
It's good,
Like 9 million is good.
yeah, but it's not NCIS numbers.
I'm looking at Sci-Fi's stuff on. Anytime they dip below 1 million, they pretty much are like up for cancellation.
yeah,
So network television, 9 million is good.
Yeah.
Like, that's good.
And
be happy with it.
my wife watched it with us, and she did not watch too far into the first season.
She did not like it.
She watched 2 episodes, and she was like, I'm done. I can't watch any more of this.
But this one.
And she, at the end of the episode, she goes, about time they got good.
So if you haven't seen episode 1, just or season 1, power through it.
Yep.
Start watching season 2, and you'll fall in love with it again.
It's not so much power through it as consider the first half of the season the prologue.
Yeah.
And then the second half of the season, everything that was in the prologue comes around again and
ties in with Captain America 2.
Yep.
The Winter Soldier.
Hopefully this next one will tie in with Age of Ultron.
Yep.
Actually, I think the way they have it set up right now is the season will end by the time Age of Ultron comes out, and maybe when the season comes back for like season 3, they'll tie it in there and be like, yeah, we're still cleaning up Ultrons around here, you know?
Yep. Yeah, we'll get to see a couple episodes with some Ultrons in it, some Ultron bots, but
Ward is there. For those of you who are thinking like, oh, he's going to be gone.
Creepy.
He's very creepy.
He's way creepier than he was.
Yeah,
he started out pretty creepy, but now he's like super creep.
He went from fanatic to I am totally obsessed and in love with Sky.
Yeah.
And it's really creepy. I might have to go watch this first episode again. Like, it is really catching me. So that might be on the docket for as soon as our episode is done.
Yep.
But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get into trailers.
All right. We only got a couple. Let's talk about the fan-made Firefly short or trailer called The Verse.
Yep.
They did it. It's basically the same thing as Firefly, different ship,
different characters. Some characters taking over roles that you're like, oh, that's the Jane role, or that's the Malcolm role.
Yep.
You know,
but it's good, and they're smugglers or transporters as well, and they move cargo around, and
they were bounty hunting too, actually.
Yeah, they were.
And the thing is the Inara Mal combo that's in Firefly, where Inara's the one girl who's renting the shuttle, and he's the captain. Well, the power couple in this is co-captains of the same ship, a girl and a guy who are both trying to be the captain and being the pants.
Yeah, they both own half the ship each.
Yeah.
It's about 15 minutes long.
Mm-hmm. It's not actually a trailer, but it's actually just a little
short.
Yep.
This
should be like trailers and YouTube videos.
Yeah. And then it's on YouTube. Just search for The Verse, and you'll find it. I was a little skeptical at first because I've watched many fan-made stuff, and most of them suck. I'm sorry. I hate to say it because they're low budget. They're just bad. This one was good.
Yeah.
I was very surprised.
I told you at the end of it that if they want to do a Firefly series 2, do it in an anthology like that, where you get one season of a crew and they do their thing, and they, they're smugglers or they're traders, or they get embroiled in a reaver fight or something, or they're racing across the galaxy for some.
Yeah, I wonder how long they could do that before it got boring.
Well, if they just do it like one season at a time, and then the second season they switch to a whole new cast, like True Detective does, and American Horror Story does.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
they're pretty popular.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the way TV can go these days and still be good. They can do single seasons that can be great on their own, and then you move on to the next one that's completely different from it. So
yeah, it was very fun. I had a lot of fun watching it. I watched it 2 or 3 times and just really enjoyed it. The next trailer we saw, Corey, you'll like this one.
Yeah.
You like your Big Hero 6.
I love my Big Hero 6.
They came out with their second full trailer.
Oh, it was so good.
That trailer actually made me want to see the movie.
Yeah, it's impressive.
I was kind of just on the fence before, and I didn't really care that much about it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the second trailer, and I went, okay, yep,
done.
I'm ready to see it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go see the movie. It looks good.
It gives you a little bit more backstory into who Baymax is and why he was created, and this kind of heartwarming, like, brother bond thing that you got going on.
And how all the other kids have their powers or suits and stuff.
Their suits and everything, which they're all basically Iron Men.
Yep, pretty much.
The kid Iron Men. But I really enjoyed the trailer, of course. I mean, I'm not a good opinion on that.
You go watch all the little, like,
teasers
12-second shorts and stuff on there, and they're just like,
I've got the movie.
When does it come out?
Down November.
Okay, great.
So we're a couple months away, and I'm let me look up the exact date here while you talk about the next trailer.
The next trailer we saw, and this was actually Corey introduced it to me.
You're
You
welcome.
did. And it's called Predestination. It stars Ethan Hawke. It is a sci-fi thriller. Not only that, is a sci-fi time travel thriller.
Oh, your favorite type of sci-fi thriller? Any.
Pretty much, any kind of sci-fi. It is based on a short story by the famous sci-fi writer Robert A. Heinlein. I
Oh.
talked a little bit about him
Last time.
last episode because he's one of my favorite sci-fi writers. He's got a couple of good books
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of really short stories that are really good. I think he has a collection out there you can buy of like just his short stories as a big kind of collected edition, which which is really cool. But anyways, the premise for the story is time cops.
Yay, Time Cop 2. Time coppening.
They're time agents. They go back in time to prevent horrible tragedies and terrorist attacks. You know, like instead of 11 million people being killed in a bombing, no one does because they went back in time and killed it and stopped it. And his time machine is built into a briefcase, like a classic style briefcase.
Yep, and with a lock, with like one of those number lock combination things that he plugs in the date, and then he clicks the button and it sends him back in time, which is really cool. By the way, Big Hero 6 comes out November 7th, the same week as Interstellar.
Cool. We'll go to Big Hero 6 the next week.
We'll go to
first.
Interstellar the next week.
Fine. But yes, so Predestination looks interesting.
Yeah,
Didn't
looks
have
really
a date
good.
that I saw.
I didn't.
There was 2 trailers out.
There was something on a film festival, which usually means it's coming, and it's just
It'll be like 2015.
yeah,
sometime.
2015, or it'll come out on DVD. So, yeah,
Ethan Hawke's good. He played a really good part in Daybreakers.
yep. Which same directors?
Yep, same directors.
Yeah.
And he also played a really good part in Gattaca.
Yep. Oh yes, that's right.
He was the wheelchair-bound,
he is the-
genetically modified person.
yeah. Wait.
No, wait, that's
no,
right.
that's
right.
Jude Law.
Jude Law.
Yeah.
Okay, I get those two mixed up all the time.
Yep.
No, Ethan Hawke is he's the main character of Gattaca.
Yeah. No, I like Ethan Hawke as an actor, so
And
that
that's all the
works.
trailers for this week.
Yeah, not that many. It's kind of the slow months. Like,
Yeah.
no good movies
Like
are coming out. no
after
good
Guardians
trailers.
came out, that was it.
We just kind of shut down.
Yeah, just kind of
until
every time
November
we see
7th
movies,
when we go see Big Hero 6 or
Yeah.
Interstellar. We haven't decided
we'll
yet.
go to Big Hero 6. We can go to Interstellar the next week.
All right, we can
Unless
go
there's
to the
something
week
crazy
before.
after.
So we're gonna go ahead and get into the topic of the week, and this week we're gonna be talking my favorite subject, fantasy.
Corey has many fantasies.
I do have a lot of fantasies. I wish I have fantasies about having $1 million. I have fantasies about having $1 billion. I have fantasies about having 1 billion women. I have fantasies about having
That doesn't
what?
sound like a fantasy. It sounds like a nightmare.
That is actually would be a nightmare.
being with 1 billion other people.
Ah.
I don't think you wouldn't have enough time.
Nope.
You'd spend 10 minutes with each person for
Hi,
the rest
how
of
are
your
you?
life
That
and
sounds
never
good. All right, see you
get
later.
through them probably.
Yeah. No, we're talking about the fantasy genre. That's everything to do with sword and sorcery and magic and everything. It's kind of the other half of the fiction world, where half of it's sci-fi and half of it's fantasy, and then everything else kind of gets interspersed throughout that. Like superhero movies kind of go, or superhero genres kind of go fantasy or sci-fi, depending on the character.
Well, think about it. Look at the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
It's a fiction series.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would say it's more sci-fi than anything else.
Yeah,
because it's in a
exactly.
futuristic world. There's new technology. You know, granted they don't focus on that kind of stuff, but it's still, I would still put it in partially into that category. Maze Runner, same thing. Divergent, same thing.
Yeah.
Like they're all sci-fi futuristic-ish.
Yep.
You know, and then
Then there's other ones that are like the Spiderwick Chronicles and
Chronicles of Narnia,
Chronicles of Narnia, Sorcerer's Apprentice that
Harry
go into.
Potter.
Yep. Well, yeah, I was going to get to that when we got to our movies, but of course, the Harry Potter. I mean, that would probably be your prime example for fantasy these days. Is the Harry Potter series,
Lord of the Rings.
or Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Yeah, those are like the two major ones. So you talked a little bit about why you like sci-fi.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about why I love fantasy.
But keep in mind, I like fantasy
yeah,
as well.
and I like
this
sci-fi.
This is not a Corey likes fantasy and Scott hates it.
Yeah.
And Scott loves sci-fi and Corey hates it. And we overlap on a lot of that stuff because a lot of the things too are both there's sci-fi and fantasy in the same kind of movies.
Star Trek is basically fantasy in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Wars is kind of fantasy with the Force and things like that.
Pretty much magic and lightsabers are weapons,
Yep.
A Vorpal blade. So fantasy is a genre where everything's more clear cut. You know who the bad guy is, pretty much. It's the guy with the skeletons and
He's
evil...
the sorcerer on top of the mountain casting fireballs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the good guy is the farmer from the village down the way who finds a sword and defeats him, that kind of thing. There's different takes on it where it turns out that the bad guy is actually the good guy, or you're following the bad guy and you want him to win because the good guy's a jerk or a righteous do-gooder that's like way zealous and everything like that. But for the most part, it's good is good, evil is evil.
Yep.
And it's a genre that allows childhood imagination to run wild. There's without worrying about consequences or worrying about why things are the way they are. If a guy starts flying in fantasy, you don't go, well, what's the scientific ideas behind him flying like you would with science fiction? Like he doesn't have rocket propulsion.
It's just magic.
Yeah, it's
just
magic. A wizard did it.
A wizard did it. That's the answer.
Exactly. So you don't have to worry so much about explaining things. You just kind of get to sit there, and when you're reading this book or watching this movie, just accept that everything the way it is. You can also throw fantasy into a lot of different things without it getting too weird. Like sci-fi, anytime you throw new technology into a movie, it becomes science fiction. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But if you throw magic into like a modern setting, like if suddenly, like Sorcerer's Apprentice is a prime example. If there's suddenly a wizard there that can do things and he's teaching you, it's not so much like, oh, this is suddenly a fantasy movie. It's like the real world's crossing over into this crazy magic place. And fantasy can do this more smoothly than science fiction and still kind of stay true to what it is, in my opinion. Not like stay true to science fiction. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. Basically what I'm trying to say is that when you have a fantasy show encroach upon your regular romantic movie, it's still a romantic movie just with magic. If you put that with sci-fi, it suddenly becomes a sci-fi movie. It's just this weird kind of disconnect between the two. There's a lot of cool things. For example, you want your magic in the real world, you got your Sorcerer's Apprentice. You want flying airships and gear-driven automatons.
I love that stuff.
Steampunk.
It's nearly sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. You've got steampunk, but it's all powered by magic crystals. Basically, fantasy is like an all-inclusive, no-holds-barred genre that just says, you know what, you want to bring in your weird creation? Yeah, we have a place for that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, everything from like Conan the Barbarian, up to Lord of the Rings.
Sinbad and Clash of the Titans.
The League of Extraordinary
Gentlemen, exactly.
Total fantasy.
Frankenstein is a fantasy, I would say. It's kind of based in science, but it's kind of fantasy. It's a lot of... let's see, what am I trying to say here, Scott? You can read my mind, can't you?
Only when I do this.
I've lost it. I thought I had another point in there. So there's a lot of cool movies out there. We talked about the favorites for me, and this is actually, we asked some people, and a lot of the responses we got were Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter are like the two top. People love Lord of the Rings for its spanning epic proportions. It's the first like epic fantasy that everybody recognized. Everything else was kind of... And, that's what I was going to say, is that we talked about the beginning of science fiction back in the 50s with the movies and the TV shows and whatnot, or in the 40s.
Yeah.
But fantasy goes back all the way to Roman times and Greek mythology.
Yeah, back to mythology.
Yeah. And so it's kind of this cool it's as nostalgic as you can really go without going caveman, you know. I would say some other ones that are really good movie wise. How to Train Your Dragon is an amazing
Great.
fantasy. The Labyrinth or any of the any of the Henson movies, the puppet movies, like Neverending Story. Well, that's not Henson, but it's kind of in that same genre. You've got Willow is a really good classic fantasy movie. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
That's a huge example of an action adventure that gets mixed in with fantasy.
Yeah, Brave. Brave was one.
Brave is a good one.
Pretty recent.
How about any of the Miyazaki films? Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke. All of them.
What's
are
the one
fantasy.
with the fish?
Ponyo.
Ponyo. Yep, same thing.
Yep, they're all really cool fantasy ones.
Disney, Little Mermaid, Aladdin.
Oh yeah,
except Aladdin's kind of like futuristic sci-fi. Hercules, oh my gosh, there's dozens of them. Hunchback of Notre Dame. I mean,
pretty much every Disney movie out there is
kind of what their forte is.
Yep. The Mummy series.
Yes,
is a good example of another like action movie that gets pushed into the fantasy realm because of it.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Mary
Poppins.
Exactly.
Like, that's fantastical, Not necessarily high fantasy, but still fantastical stuff.
And that's the thing is there's two different types of fantasies. There's high fantasy, which is kind of this
another world
with elves and men and dwarves and blah 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 blah. And then there's low fantasy, which is we're gonna throw magic into something. Or we're gonna throw
where the wild things are. Yes, it's pretty recent.
Where the wild things are. Fern Gully.
Edward Scissorhands
is a good sci-fi.
The Dark Crystal, which you mentioned before, with like the labyrinth and stuff.
A series of unfortunate events can be considered fantasy.
Yep. Lemony Snicket. Harry Potter.
Yep.
Of course.
Yep.
We already talked about it a little bit.
I think Harry Potter is, like I said, the prime example of fantasy these days. And fantasy that encroaches on the modern world.
Oh, here's one you'll like. Jason and the Argonauts.
Jason and the Argonauts. Thank you. Claymation classic.
Great skeletons, actually.
Yes.
Even for the time.
The stop motion animation, the practical effect work on that was really good.
Pan's Labyrinth.
It's
pretty new.
I would say Hellboy kind of breaches into that fantasy realm.
I'd say Hellboy is all fantasy. Thor could be fantasy, sure. Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to give it more of a sci-fi spin, but those fantasy geeks with me unite in just believing that Thor is mythological.
Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Pure fantasy.
Yeah.
Comedy, but fantasy.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, sci-fi does it a little bit where it's a sci-fi comedy or a sci-fi, love story or whatever. But fantasy is just like even throw whatever you want.
I know,
other genres.
like Monty Python.
Yeah,
it's still fantasy. I mean, it's still
it's in
swords and knights and
three-headed giants and million-eyed beasts of
Wizard of Oz. We can't do this without talking about the Wizard of Oz.
That's true. That is
There's
one of the
your
classics.
Ultimate high fantasy. Total other world, all kinds of crazy creatures. Spiderwick Chronicles you already mentioned. Jumanji. Speaking of the late great Robin Williams.
Going back to sci-fi, the Zathura movie is kind of like the Jumanji for space.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jumanji, I mean, that's, oh my gosh. I need to watch Jumanji again. I just remember such good things about that.
Very
with the
good.
Hunter and the
Dragonheart.
Yes, the Dragonheart series, the Aragon series.
Braveheart was, I would consider, partially fantasy. One movie that I know you totally forgot about, but you're going to totally agree with me when I say this, Stardust.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot about that movie. Thank you for reminding me. Stardust is an amazing movie. That is high fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Yes. It's so good. It came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And it's got Robert De Niro playing a gay pirate. What more could you ask for?
Wait, you do want more? Well, how about Michelle Pfeiffer as an old witch?
Yes, very old.
Yes, extremely old. And isn't Gwyneth Paltrow the Stardust girl? No, I'm thinking of somebody different.
Don't say that because people will not want to watch it because people hate Gwyneth Paltrow.
I don't
for some
know.
reason.
I don't know why.
I don't understand it either.
She's fine.
I think she's
get
okay.
Off Gwyneth Paltrow's back, people.
I think they don't like her just like they don't like Anne Hathaway because she's, quote, too perfect of a person. because they're always like doing charity work and
Yeah.
they're pretty and they're funny, and I'm like, that just means you should like them,
Yeah, it's one of those things like, you're better than I am, so I don't like you.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving over to TV really quick. Hercules,
Yes,
Xena.
it's on my list as well.
Yes. Camelot, is that the one you watch, or is it Merlin?
Both.
Both.
Merlin, Camelot,
Uh-huh.
kind of two sides of the same coin.
Okay.
Camelot has
Like the BBC,
the BBC.
the BBC show.
Camelot has like older Merlin in
Yeah.
it, trying to raise a young King Arthur, and Merlin has young Merlin as an apprentice.
Yeah.
To another like wizard,
Which
some
is
sort.
really cool.
Yeah.
Legend of the Seeker.
That one was really popular.
I'm gonna go. I mean, probably the most popular one these days is Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
That is definitely high fantasy.
Yep.
Like, you cannot get more high fantasy than that. That is like, and that's like gritty fantasy too. It's like really.
Based on the War of the Roses,
Yeah.
which really happened, which was feuding families in England.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing, but still, it's set in a totally different world. And there's dragons.
So if you want to know how Game of Thrones
ends,
ends, you just go watch or go look
just
at
go
the
read
row.
read about the
The War of the Roses.
One that I think that I could put, it kind of crosses lines from sci-fi to fantasy sometimes. Warehouse 13,
Warehouse 13. No, I agree there.
because there's lots of magic and stuff involved in these artifacts and things they find.
What's that one that's like Warehouse 13 but with mystical creatures and
Sanctuary.
such? Sanctuary.
On my list as well. But
I still need to watch it.
It's
One
good.
of those cool ones. It's just
It is like 90% CG.
Mhm.
They don't have very many non-CG sets.
Wow.
It's really weird. It was hard to get used to at first because all the people are normal, but there's lots of green screen work. And it got better, of course, as time went on. But it was just, there's a lot of green screen backgrounds and things like that. And I was like,
how
I don't know if I
about
like this.
how about another show that you may have forgotten about, Lost Girl?
oh, yeah, I just finished it.
Yeah,
Oh, that was
like
good.
the entire
It's good.
series,
I
or
just
like
I just finished the whole series up to what they have on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
4 seasons, I think.
which is
Recommended to me by good friend of the program, Hannah.
Hi Hannah.
Hi, Hannah. She was like, you need to watch this. You'll love this. You'll love it. And so I did, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's about a succubus who has to choose between good and evil, and just it works really well.
Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff.
Plus,
Plus, she's very attractive. That does not hurt my watching of that show.
yeah. Well, yeah, she's a succubus, Scott. She's got to be very attractive.
Sure, or at least cast an illusion that makes her look attractive.
But there's a lot of, I mean, like, there's probably more than we can remember.
Oh yeah, we always. I think for like 2 days after our podcast, Sci-Fi was like, "Oh, we should talk about that. Oh, we should."
I can't believe we didn't mention
so many of them.
I think one place that fantasy does really well is books.
Just like Sci-Fi,
Yeah.
because you can do so much more in books than you can.
Yeah.
In
I mean, you've got Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, of course, are up there at the
course.
top again. The card game Magic the Gathering has a lot of books behind it.
I'm sad they're not doing them
I
anymore.
know they cancel pretty much all of them, and
I think
they do
I
like
have
one every now and
I think
then.
I have
but
20. I have 20 of the books, and every single one of them sucked me in
Yeah.
and just wouldn't let go until I finished
Yep.
it. They were just
they are
were great.
fantastic. They take you into individual worlds that have this interlocking
And
story.
they're usually in sets of like 2 or 3, and they'll have. So when Magic comes out with a new world or new series, it'll be 3 sets from this world, and they kind of all tie together. And with each one, in the past, they would do a book with it
Yeah.
as well from an author, and they would all tie together, and they're just really good. I remember reading. We picked up one just out of nowhere because we didn't even know they did it. We picked it up. We both read it, and we ended up going and buying as much as we possibly could
It
find.
was like halfway through this huge overarching story of this world that they'd been doing just in the world for however long, and suddenly we were buying books for every single minute of that world that we could find.
yeah,
And Wizards of the Coast are really good at doing fantasy books, as they are with their D&D books. The Dragonlance series, the Forgotten Realms series, if anybody's read
Need to read
or
those.
Eberron, I have like a list of audiobooks on here that I got to go through that are all
Awesome.
Forgotten Realms. But I mean, D&D is not only like the fantasy dream where you get to make your own fantasy character, but you can watch these other cool characters in their own stories and everything. The Aragon series, not my favorite, but a lot of people like them. The books, at
Did
least.
you read a few?
I read the first one. It wasn't really my cup of tea. It's very Star Warsy. Like it feels like Star Wars.
Isn't it about dragons?
Yeah, it's about X-wing dragons.
Okay, dragons with 4 wings.
Dragons with 4 wings. Yes. I know there's like the Sword of Shannara series and the Queen or the Pawn of Sorcery or things like that. You know, there's a lot of different authors out there. I mentioned the Dragonlance series. There's the Dragon Rider series where people like play music to befriend dragons and everything, and then they have to raise them. I've read so many over the years that I don't even remember them. There's one called Tamara something and the Ancient Furnace, where this girl is basically a were-dragon, where her and all these other were-dragons go to this camp, and then the full moon comes out and they turn into dragons.
Interesting.
And she's got to go through training, but they've never seen her dragon type before. Like there's a bunch of different, there's like skinnier ones and bigger ones that can summon lizards and everything.
Yeah.
And they don't know what she is. Well, it turns out that her dad is a were-dragon, but her mom is what's called a paladin, which is this group that are hunting down the were-dragons.
Oh, okay.
And her mom and her dad fell in love, and her mom quit being a paladin. And
like Jumper.
yes, like Jumper, kind of. Yeah, and so like she's half. She's only half were-dragon, and it's created this really cool. And it's really cool to think about all these different things that you can do with fantasy. Discworld, that's another one. That's huge.
Really
Terry
popular.
Pratchett. He's got like 26 books out there. Again, you've got your series of unfortunate events, not really your Nancy Drew. Never mind, I was going to say Nancy Drew, but that's mystery.
That's mystery novels. There's another book series that the Dresden Files.
Oh, yes.
Pure,
Absolutely.
It's a lot of mystery and like he's a detective.
Yeah,
book, but it's all
a detective
magic.
wizard.
He is a urban shaman,
basically.
Urban shaman, urban wizard. You know,
my favorite thing in the world. Kind of like Constantine, and going into like comic territory. Constantine, any of the Thor comics or huge fantasy.
Don't
stuff.
forget it from your books, the Seventh Tower.
That
we talked about earlier.
One of our favorite series growing up.
We picked it up when I was in
4th grade.
Okay, so how old were you then?
I don't know. You were in 8th grade.
Okay, so I was like
14,
15.
Yeah.
You were, 10, 11.
Yeah.
And you picked one up, and pretty much after that we had to read all of them.
Yep.
There's 7 books.
That's actually 6.
There's only 6?
Yeah.
I thought there were 7.
We thought there were 7 because there's 7 levels of the tower that they're in, but I think there's only 6.
But the whole world is based around hard light constructs, just kind of like the Lantern Corps.
Yes.
which at the time we had no idea.
Now we're just like,
yeah,
that makes sense.
See. But it's in a fantasy world with airships and magic and all kinds of crazy stuff like that.
So yeah, I mean, go rent a fantasy book. You'll love it. I mean, even start by reading Grimm fairy tales. That right there is fantasy, and they've done a lot of good work with
the good ones,
fables,
not the edited for kids.
Yeah,
like the actual fairy tales,
the ones where people die and there's murder, mayhem, and everything like that. So, you have anything else that you want to talk about with fantasy before I get into my pick of the week, which is fantasy related?
No, we'll. I'm sure there will be many more fantasy stuff we will come up with after the podcast.
Yeah, over. Exactly. So my pick of the week this week is my favorite, my latest favorite. The Levin Thump series. For those of you who don't know who Levin Thumps is, it's a series, or the Artemis Fowl books.
What's the one? What's the one series that you and your wife got me a book for Christmas? But it was also a movie. Inkheart.
Yes.
Yeah, there's another one.
Inkheart is a really good series.
Oh, I was going to mention, you love World of Warcraft.
Yes.
World of Warcraft books.
Absolutely.
Blizzard has many books based on the World of Warcraft.
I just finished reading
and Diablo.
Or hearing War Crimes, which is one of their fantasy books, and they do some amazing work. Their authors, the 2 biggest ones are Richard A. Knack, who did like the War of the Ancients series, which is really cool, and then Christy Golden, and she did a lot of their other books that are kind of tying in with the universe and everything.
I think Knack did a few magic books as well.
I think so. That sounds familiar too. But my pick of the week is probably my favorite fantasy series that I've read in the last 10 years or so, and it's called Fablehaven. Fablehaven is a book series by Brandon Mole that basically chronicles the life of a fantasy preserve caretaker and his it focuses on the grandchildren of this caretaker, which is a grandma and grandpa couple.
Okay.
And basically all fantasy creatures, there's a lot of dangerous ones out there, but there's a lot of other ones that they've kind of come to this agreement that they're going to lock themselves away so that they can be protective from humans and that they can protect humans from the worst ones out there. So they find these like fairies and centaurs and everything out in the wild that they bring to these preserves, and they give them a bit of land and everything like that.
Huh.
And the story centers around these two kids who are learning to be caretakers. Like their grandparents are opening them up to this world because they're getting older and they want to pass it down to somebody. And it's about what happens, and there's like a cool evil plot about bringing down the Fablehavens, and they've got to gather artifacts and everything.
So the Fablehavens is the name of the refuge.
The Fablehaven is the name of the refuge that they're at in the first book.
Okay.
There's other refuges out there with different names and everything. One of them is called like the Mesa, that's set in Arizona.
This is
and everything.
basically Sanctuary.
It is kind
in book
of
form.
that is why Sanctuary kind of intrigues me, because it kind of sounds like Fablehaven.
Yeah, where they have holding places for them and places for all the mythical creatures to live. And
they have a whole preserve that's just for dragons because dragons can't be put anywhere else, because they're too powerful to be kept in anything other than a dragon sanctuary where other dragons rule.
Yeah. Wow.
And the caretaker there is actually a dragon himself in human form.
We need to get all these on like ebook or something.
Yes, I have them all on regular book actually.
Oh, really?
Yes,
all of Fablehavens?
I should give them to you. I don't know why I haven't given them to you. It's a very easy read too. It's not like super dumbed down or anything, but it's kind of like Harry Potter in that style.
Okay, it's just it's a young adult quick read
that adults will find incredibly entertaining.
Not like Game of Thrones, which I heard is a fairly hard read.
Oh, you have to push your way through it.
Not because it's hard to understand, like the way he writes. It's just he just does some stuff in it that most of the authors don't. 3 chapters worth of describing a feast. It's like,
I'm hungry again.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, what's your pick of the week?
My pick of the week, going back to the thing that we can't stop mentioning, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Of course.
If you haven't seen it yet, plug your ears, because I'm going to do a small spoiler for the end scene.
This movie's been out since August.
I know. And if you haven't seen this end scene yet or heard someone talk about it, like, where have you been?
Yeah.
The last couple months? Where have you been hiding under a rock?
Yeah, and it doesn't spoil anything with the movie.
Kind of does.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a tiny baby Groot in a pot, and he's dancing to 80s, or Jackson 5's Want You Back.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's dancing, and it became a huge hit on the internet.
Everybody loves it.
I bought a couple posters of it from Comic-Con.
Yes,
because I like it so much.
I forgot you bought that.
I bought one or two of them. One of them, anyways. And there's a Funko Pop coming out of it. That I already pre-ordered it.
Oh, okay.
I already pre-ordered it. Don't even go there. I already pre-ordered it. I found out that you could pre-order Funko Pops on Amazon. I bought it and pre-ordered a bunch of them. So
wow.
That was a bad idea. Bad idea to go find them.
Where'd your money go?
Yeah. Oh, it goes into Funko Pops. However, there is a company from Entertainment Earth. Mm-hmm. They do a lot of like props and replicas and stuff. They are creating a 7-inch Groot in a pot model kit.
Very nice.
It's pre-painted, so you don't have to paint it, which a lot of people shy away from model kits because they come in just basic plastic, and they end up, not wanting to put them together because then they got to paint them. They never look as good as they do in the pictures, of course, unless you're really good at it. However, this one's highly detailed, pre-painted. It comes like not assembled, so you just basically just have to kind of snap it together. It's not really a model. It's just more of a little statue thing, little figurine. Mm-hmm. Available for pre-order at Entertainment Earth. I think it's just entertainmentearth.com.
That's pretty cool.
You can find it there. It's about $80, but it looks great. That's my pick of the week. So
that'll look good on your shelf next to your giant statue. For those of you who listened to a couple weeks ago, Scott was raving about Sideshow Collectibles.
Yes.
Well, he actually went out and bought himself one.
I did.
He's got it. He's making his payments on it and everything, and he's buying himself a Kerrigan.
Yeah, because you can put them on. You can put them on like online layaway, so you don't get it until it's paid for.
Yeah.
So it's not like a credit thing, and they don't charge you interest. They just break it up into a couple payments,
and you put
over
down a
couple
deposit,
months.
and if you end up canceling, they keep the deposit.
And you prepay. You prepay so that when it's released, like this one comes out in June of 2015.
Yeah.
So by the time it hits June of 2015, I'll have it all paid for, and they'll ship it right to my house.
Nice.
So I mean, pretty cool object. But
26 inches.
yeah, 26-inch tall statue. It's pretty big.
But for those of you who don't want to spend $300, $80 Baby Groot.
Yeah. Yep. $80 Baby Groot, 7-inch tall, comes with his own little pot and everything. Here's a picture of it, Corey.
Oh yeah,
it looks great.
That is.
We'll have
pretty close
to see if we can remember to post it up on our Facebook page.
Yeah, you can just write it down.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works.
But it's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
And thank you to listener Jared for bringing that to your attention.
Yes, thank you, Jared, friend Jared,
for bringing it to your attention and making you spend some money.
Yeah, thank you a lot. Jeez, last night I spent like $300 last night on books. Not 300, like 250 on books. I bought a Kindle because I want a Kindle for the train.
Yeah, you can get it into quite the rabbit hole on Amazon.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Amazon is the greatest thing ever and the worst thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those where you get on there and you're like, I want to buy one book, and the next thing you know, you bought 4 books, a Kindle, and a statue. You know, like it just kind of all flows together.
Yep. Well, that is an episode.
That is an episode.
Yeah, we're
alive.
Over.
We're alive.
Yes.
So the episode 13 didn't kill us, which is good.
Like we've still got 10 minutes to go.
No, we got the rest of the day to go.
That's true.
As soon as we upload it, we're in the clear.
Yeah, it's like, oh, sorry, you can't upload this video, this podcast. Why not? It's episode 13.
You just have to skip and go right to 14.
Yep.
Just call it 14.
But the episode's over, but the discussion's not. If you want to tell us what your favorite fantasy books are, or if you want to tell us what you're geeking out about this week,
recommend some to us.
Yeah.
We love reading new stuff.
Absolutely.
We love watching movies, TV shows.
By the way, I read Red Shirts. Thank you for recommending that to me last week. I read it over the course of the week, and it's really entertaining.
A good friend of ours, friend Adam.
Yep.
Geek friend Adam. He read Old Man's War, which I also talked about as well.
Yeah.
Last week, and that was my pick of the week. And he said he just could not put it down. In 2 or 3 hours, had most of it finished. Went to sleep, picked it up next day, finished it.
So go read Old Man's War, people.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great. It's a great book.
But if you have something that you'd like us to read or comment about or anything, you can send us an email at actsofgeekery@gmail.com.
You can hit us up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/actsofgeekery.
If we ever post them on YouTube again, you can leave them in the comments on YouTube at youtube.com/actsofgeekery.
The only reason we don't post them is it's a lot of bandwidth and it takes hours to upload videos with our terrible internet. So we'll have to figure something out. Maybe I'll upload them from work or something. I don't know. And if you want to hit us up on Twitter, you can go at actsofgeekery.com, or you can do hashtag brothersgeek. Sorry, at Acts of Geekery. You can do hashtag Acts of Geekery, hashtag the Brothers Geek. We'll be able to find most of those. So
yep. There was one thing I was going to say. I think that's it.
They can only contact us 4 ways. If you have our number personally, you can always call us, I guess. But we're not giving that on. My number is 6.
I don't even know if that's really the last digit. I don't know your phone number. That's sad.
It's not the last digit, but I thought that would be kind of a funny joke. And I ruined it by explaining the joke.
Well, there you go. Brothers Geek, ruining jokes by explaining them.
Ruining jokes since July of 2014. When we started the podcast.
Yeah, okay. I was like, why that?
Another joke ruined. We're gonna keep a running joke ruin tally.
A running joke jar.
We're only comedy bronze. Remember that.
Yeah, that's true.
Not gold, not silver. Comedy bronze.
Wow, that's a far out callback.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna do it for the show. I'm Corey,
and I'm Scott,
and we are the Brothers Geek.
Keep geeking out.
See ya.
Why are you so footsie today?
I am literally at the edge here. You are like pushing incredibly. That clunk.
The clunk. It's the clunk.
What's his superpower?
He just thumps into things. He's just a really poorly running car.
The clunk.
He's the clunk.
The
To the clunker.
The clunkmobile.
No, just the clunker.
The clunker.